Hey everybody, welcome to Yoga Moments. I'm Janice, and today we have a floor series for our back. So we're going to be on the mat today. If you would prefer, we do have yoga for the back in the chair, which I will link in the description below. So if you're more comfortable with that, check that one out. And who knows, maybe someday we'll do one that's just a yoga for the back standing series. In the meantime, grab your mat, get into something comfortable. And especially because we only have one back, I really encourage you, be mindful. So really tend to yourself with kindness in today's flow. If there's something that doesn't feel good or doesn't feel right, like a sharp, pull or tinge or something, like be careful as you're going in and out. So bring a lot of mindfulness to it today. Set that intention, and when you're ready, we'll get comfortable in a seated position on our mat. So you can find Sukhasana. If you find that you're rounding through your back already, come up onto a cushion or a pillow or a folded blanket. And again, tend to yourself. So be your own guide, trust your body, trust yourself. We're going to start by just closing our eyes, checking in here, seeing how our breath feels, seeing if there's any areas that are a little tight, holding a little tension. And if there are, we're going to just try and soften with our exhale. Maybe you're finding your head stacked over top of your heart and your heart over top of your pelvis. Letting your sit bones be heavy, drawing your pelvic floor up, lifting your navel in and up. So just finding a little integrity in the lower torso. And then when you found that, we'll lift our heart up, let our shoulder blades be heavy. You might even imagine pinching a pencil in between your shoulder blades, or at least just kind of gently holding one. And again, if you're feeling a little rigid into forcing this, find a little softness to it. So a little ease, a little sukha. And then when you're ready, we'll inhale, draw a line with our nose, look up. You can go either direction, doesn't matter. We're going to draw a few circles with our nose here. So just remembering that as much as we're focusing on our back, our spine extends well into our neck, up towards our skull, up to the base of our skull. You can do big circles, you can do little circles, try and synchronize. Your inhale coming up, your exhale coming down, and then when you're ready, take it to the other side. So change your direction, explore here. A little bit of get to know yourself, know your neck. And then we're going to come back to center, and we're going to take our nose and our chin all the way down. So keeping our heart nice and lifted here, just letting our chin come towards our chest, nose is pointing down towards our lap. And just noticing the stretch. You might feel it in the back of your neck, you might feel it more in your shoulders, or you might feel it down between your shoulder blades. Taking a couple of breaths just to lengthen those muscles. And then we'll inhale, draw a line, look back up to center. So from here, we're going to mindfully, keeping our navel drawing in, our pelvic floor lifting up, just to give us that support and that lift as we move. We're going to make our way into tabletop position. So if this is your first video, welcome to the party. We're going to place our hands and knees on the mat. Index fingers are going to point up towards the front of our mat. And shoulders are going to be right over top of our wrists. Hips are going to be over our knees, and we're going to press into all 10 fingers. So if that feels really strange to you, press into the fleshy part between your thumb and your index finger. We'll rotate our elbow creases in towards each other and then up towards the front of the mat. And we'll draw our heart and our navel up towards our spine. So heart's going to reach up between our shoulder blades, and that's going to take some of the weight out of our hands as well, because we don't want to collapse into our wrists. So from here, We'll take one breath, just find our center here, whatever that means to you. And then we'll inhale, draw a line with our nose, look up, lower the belly. Tailbone's going to reach up, the heart is reaching forward, finding a nice extension through the front body. And then we'll turn our tailbone down towards the earth, draw our navel and our heart up again into our spine, arching like a cat. Press into all 10 fingers, draw your shoulders away from your ears. And then inhale, we'll come forward. So this is cat-cow. And really it's just a spinal warm-up. So we're just kind of mindfully, kindly bending our spine, flexing and extending it. See if you can press into your hands, all 10 fingers. Follow your breath here. So on your inhale, come up into cow. On your exhale, round through. If you want to make sound effects, go for it. We'll inhale, come back to center. It's a lot of fun if you do make sound effects, and I was taught that by a group of Girl Guides that I taught yoga to. They were very enthusiastic. So we're going to find our alignment here in tabletop position, press into all 10 fingers. We'll inhale, sweep the left arm out. So however far is comfortable for you, there's no right or wrong. See if you can keep your heart navel lifting. And then on an exhale, we're going to thread our left hand behind our right arm, coming through, bringing our shoulder and our ear to the mat. And if that's, if you're like comfortably off the mat, that's okay, but you might consider putting a blanket there as well. So left arm is reaching towards the right side. If you'd like a little extra, you can slide that right arm straight up in front of you. Reach your tailbone up and back. Take one big breath here. All right, bring your right hand back in front of your face. We'll inhale, press into the right hand. Unravel all the way open, nice and big. And then exhale, left hand to the mat as well. We'll take it to the other side, so give yourself a second to reset if you need. We'll inhale, take the right hand all the way up to the right side, and then we'll exhale, thread it in behind the left hand. So you might have to walk your left arm out a little bit. If you want a little bit of extra, you can push into your left hand. Or you might extend the left arm up towards the front of the mat. Either way, deepen your breath here. Take a nice full breath, whatever that is for you. Everybody breathes differently, so connect with yourself here. And then we'll bring our left hand back, press into the left hand, open all the way to the right, and we'll exhale back to the mat. So if this is your first time and your wrists are already feeling it, come back, give yourself a little rotation in the wrist, a little tending to, feeling good. And then we'll come back into tabletop. Find our alignment. See if we can bring our shoulders away from our ears, crown reaching forward, tailbone reaching back, and on an inhale, I'm going to reach up like I'm shaking someone's hand with my right hand. I'm going to draw my arm into my shoulder socket, and then I'm going to extend my left foot. So you might extend it just on the mat, or you might lift it up. See if either way, point your toes down. Take one big breath. On an exhale, we'll release. And on your next inhale, we'll take it to the other side. So this is a little warm up for our core. Reach forward, plug your shoulder in, point your toes down. Exhale back to the mat. And everything in our body is connected. So if we're going to do a lot of tending to our back today, follow your breath here. Extend opposite arm and leg. Again, plug your shoulder in, reach your toes down. But if we're tending to our back body today, we definitely want a warm front body too. So draw your navel and heart up. A little bit of core here. We'll even it out. So wherever you are, make sure you're balanced on both sides, or find that balance. We'll come back to center. Curl our toes underneath here. press into all 10 fingers, and then from our hips and our navel, we're gonna lift up, coming into downward dog. So take any little adjustments here. You can walk out your dog. And by that I mean just bend your knees one at a time. Reach through your heel. It should feel really nice in the backs of the legs. And then we'll set ourselves up here. So press into all 10 fingers, index fingers pointing towards the front of the mat. Rotate those elbow creases in and up towards the front of your mat as well. And then see if you can create a little space between your ears and your shoulders. Draw your navel in, hug those lower ribs tight together. And then maybe reach through the heels, maybe rotate your inner thighs towards each other and to the back of the mat. So finding this nice lift, one moment of stillness here. Find your breath, and if you have to kind of, soften in a few areas to breathe, then go for it. All right, from here we're going to just bend our knees softly, really draw our tummy and our heart towards our knees, and just lift up on our tippy toes here. So again, be very mindful if you have a sensitive back already. You might just stay in downward dog, but here you might explore a little bit. Maybe just bending the knees, really stretching through the back, coming up on your toes. And then on an inhale, we'll come back to downward dog. So reach your heels back towards the back of the mat. And on an exhale, we'll lower our knees to the mat. Bring your knees together, really together, bring your feet together, and we'll send our hips back into child's pose. So we'll bring our forehead to the mat. Let our arms swim behind us. And if this is something, again, where you're like, oh, I can't bring my forehead to the mat, that's okay. You can stack your fists underneath your forehead. Or you can grab a book or a block or a blanket and you can just set it underneath. So find what works for you. So this is your practice, your time on yourself. Make it everything you need it to be. And then once you've settled into child's pose, find your breath. And see if you can expand that breath all the way through your back body. You'll feel your tummy come towards your thighs with every inhale. Feel your lower back expand. Let your shoulders fall over top of your knees. And if you're also, if your hips are away from your feet, you might tuck a blanket in there as well if that's comfortable. Take one more sweet breath here. All right, drag your hands. So make it an experience here. Don't cheat yourself out of any of this time. Drag your hands up, feel your mat, and then we'll inhale, lift from our navel back up into our tabletop. Getting ahead here. So we'll reset ourselves in tabletop. Really draw our heart up between our shoulder blades and our ears away from our shoulders, so creating a little space in the neck there. We're going to reach our toes out, coming up into plank. So don't panic. If you are not comfortable with a full plank, you can always modify, come up onto your knees. You can bend your heels up towards your bum. Either way, draw your navel up towards your spine. So really creating this lift through the front body. Shoulders are creating space because your heart is lifting nice and high. And then we'll bring our right hand to the center of our mat and we'll turn into a plank. So even if you're in a modified plank, no worries, just turn to the right, make adjustments as you need, trust yourself. And if you're like, Janice, I'm not gonna full plank, you can bring your feet onto separate tracks here, or you can bring your left foot on top of the mat, out in front of you. Wherever you are, always having options, okay? So modify as you need. Lift up from your hips, take a nice big breath. We'll exhale back to center. If you need a break, go for it. Otherwise, we're gonna come through, left hand comes towards the center of our mat. We'll turn to the right, open all the way up. So wherever you are, lift your hips. You can be here, If you need to modify, come down onto your knees, find a separate track, whatever you need. So no right or wrong, it's something that we're going to grow into with practice. One big breath. On an exhale, we'll release, lower our knees if they're not already at the mat. And we'll come back into child's pose. So if that was a little bit of a workout for you, no worries. Come back into child's pose, nice resting pose. Take a couple of sweet breaths here. Maybe you find something even a little different than the first time we did this. So just observe, just notice how you feel. And then when you're ready, again, drag your hands. So feel your shoulders, feel your elbows moving, creating this nice long stretch. Bringing our hands out in front of us and then inhaling, lifting up from the navel. So really using our core to move so that we're moving from a very centered place, and that's going to save our lower back from doing all the work. Alrighty, so from here, in our tabletop position, we're going to drop our elbows exactly where our hands are, and we'll walk our knees back just a little bit to melt our heart to the earth. So see if you can keep your forearms in a parallel line. They're going to want to possibly spill in. See if you can kind of find that balance here. So coming into puppy pose, bringing our heart down. Reaching our tailbone back just a little bit. And again, listen to your body here. So before you force anything, just take a couple of breaths and you'll probably notice your body says, okay. And just sinks deeper into it. Take one more big breath here, fill up your belly. And then on your next inhale, you're going to pick your forehead off the mat and just slide your heart forward. So we're going to come into Sphinx pose. So bringing the pelvis down to the mat. We're going to walk our elbows underneath our shoulders if they're not already there. And we're going to press our pelvis and our feet into the mat. Inhale, lift our heart up, reach it forwards. If this doesn't feel good to you, no worries. What you're going to do is you're just going to bring your arms out in front of you, cross them kind of in front of each other, and then you can walk your arms back. So coming into like a little alligator. So if you find Sphinx pose to be too much, this way you can walk your arms in and out and find what works for you. I usually find grabbing my forearms with my hands kind of gives that nice stability as well. So find what works for you here. Maybe you're an alligator, maybe you're in Sphinx. If you're in Sphinx, press into your fingers. So really finding that connection to the earth here. Take one big full breath wherever you are. And then on an exhale, we're going to just walk our arms out in front of us. So nice full body stretch. Bring your forehead down to the mat. You might walk your fingers forward and tent them just a little. Take one full breath. From here, we're going to inhale. Lift the left leg, lift the right arm. So coming kind of into a similar core workout that we did to start. We'll exhale, release, inhale, lift the right leg, left arm, plug your left arm into its shoulder. You guys got this. So exhale to the mat, inhale, lift on the opposite arm and leg. Take a peek at the video if you need. And again, follow your breath here. So inhale, plug your shoulder in, exhale, release. If it's easier for you, gaze can stay down or gaze can come out towards the front of your mat. If you feel a pinching in your neck, bring your gaze down a little bit. So we'll even it out wherever you are. and we'll come back to our forehead being down on the mat. This time, we're gonna inhale, lift both arms, both legs. So reaching forward, plugging our shoulders in at the same time, reaching our toes back. We'll exhale, swim the arms back towards our hips. Inhale, reach them up. See if you can find a little lift here. Exhale, swim your arms back. Reach through your heels, reach through your toes. Find your breath here. We'll do one more swim. So inhale all the way forward, lift up. Exhale, swim it all the way back and release it to the mat. You guys are doing absolutely incredible. You can bring your hands under your forehead if that's comfortable to you. Wherever you are, we are going to mindfully make our way onto our backs. So you can roll over wherever you are. I'm going to turn onto my back. Extend the arms, extend the legs, nice and long here. And then on an exhale, I'm going to draw my knees in towards my chest. So you might find just a little rocking here. Should feel really good in the lower back, giving yourself a hug. You might draw your navel into your spine, really plant it down on the lower, plant your lower back on the mat. Getting all zenned out here. All right. So we're going to extend our legs, extend our arms here, and we're just going to walk our right ankle, right heel, and left heel over towards the right side of our mat. And then we're just going to shimmy our shoulders over towards the right side of the mat. Arms are going to come up over top. So nice stretch in the left side body. You might grab your left wrist with your right hand just to give yourself a little traction. Pulling up and over towards the right side of your mat. If you want even a little bit more than this, you can cross your left leg over your right leg. Just crossing at the ankles is good. Find your breath here. Noticing how you feel. And then on an inhale, we'll release. Walk it back to center. Just give yourself here a second, kind of in center. You might let your feet fall out to the sides. Give yourself a wiggle. And then walk your feet over to the left side of the mat and shimmy your shoulders accordingly. So nice stretch in the right side body. Again, you might take your left hand to your right wrist this time just to give a little traction. We're almost there. You guys are doing great. Find your breath. You might cross your right foot over top of your left. You might just take a moment to congratulate yourself for showing up, for feeling good. And you might just enjoy feeling good. When you're ready, you might unravel or walk yourself back to center. Take one full body stretch here. Wiggle the fingers and toes. Find that connection to your movement. And then we'll inhale, draw our knees up towards the sky, plant our feet on the mat. And on your next exhale, we'll let our legs come to the left and we'll reach our arms out in a nice big T. And if it feels good to you, you might look over top of your right shoulder, deepening the stretch just a little, but I really encourage you, especially in spinal twists, find your breath. So normally you don't really have to force a movement. If you just take a nice big breath, your breathing will do the expansion. It will find that stretch for you. Because, you know, we work in our daily lives. We don't need to make this harder. So just finding your breath. And now imagine that there's a string from the middle of your lower back to the mat. And You're going to draw your navel in towards your spine and then let that string pull you back. So really moving from a centered place. And just noticing how that feels in our body, because it's kind of magnificent sometimes. You can exhale, let your knees just kindly fall to the right here. But when we move from a nice centered place, we really do save our lower back. And a lot of people have tough jobs and strenuous jobs, and we kind of put a lot of demand on our body. So it's nice to kind of move from a centered place, finding what feels good and what feels cohesive in ourselves. You might take your gaze over your left shoulder here. Again, deepening your breath, so don't short yourself on the breathing. And then when you're ready, imagine that string in your lower back connecting you to the mat. Draw your navel in towards your spine, let that string pull you back. So coming back to centered, hopefully that felt nice and easy and graceful. And then we'll extend the right foot, extend the left foot. You might snuggle those shoulder blades in and under your back. Opening your heart just a little here, maybe opening your palms up towards the sky. Reconnect with your breath one more time. Congratulate yourself again for showing up, for feeling good, and for doing it. Feels pretty good. You might stay here, or if it feels good to you, you might bring your hands to your heart, just bow your chin a little bit. Thank you so much for inviting me into your homes. You guys are amazing, and I so love getting to share this journey with you. From my heart to yours, namaste.